Hello, I'm Jim, and welcome to Rallying in America, the Recce podcast. This podcast is an exploration of a rich history, the stories and memories of those who made and make Rallying in America so great. Enjoy the show.
Hey, Jim.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
All right, how's it going?
It's going well. I don't know about you, but it's been a long week,
Yes, absolutely.
and happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you, man.
Yep, I was happy to come home tonight and crack open a beer and get ready to start talking rally.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I understand you're from Massachusetts. Is that correct?
That is correct. I'm from Springfield, Mass.
Were you born and raised there?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I was born and raised in Massachusetts myself.
Oh, nice. What part?
A little town called Hubbardston off of Route 2. Let me think. Near Gardner. Athol, kind of on the other side of the Quabbin Reservoir from where you're at. So it's kind of where I grew up.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't really know Hubbardston, but I know the area.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's kind of like Pennsylvania where I live now. You've got, in Massachusetts, you have Springfield in the west, you have Philly or Boston in the east, and you kind of have this rural area in between. And in Pennsylvania, you have Pittsburgh in the west and Philly in the east. And then now I live in the rural area in between. So
Yeah, Mass has Worcester though, and
that's right.
Pennsylvania doesn't really have a center thing like that.
Well, Harrisburg is kind of that way, maybe. But yeah,
I suppose.
I got it. Yeah. So, well, let's go way back. And when was your first experience with cars, and what kind of got you into motorsports and racing?
Well, if we're being really honest, the answer is autism.
Okay.
Um, I was diagnosed with high functioning autism when I was 10, but one of the things about being high functioning autistic is you usually find something you become really passionate about.
Yeah, right.
And you revolve around that for a long time. And for me, that was cars from, I'm told, like before I could walk.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
And so I was all about cars, and I was especially into racing, and really, I had like an IndyCar phase and NASCAR phase, because if you're a kid with only network TV, that's the only racing you can see.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Yeah.
And then like freshman or so year in college, this is like the most roundabout way to get into rally, by the way, but
okay.
freshman or so year in college, I saw a movie about desert racing called Dust to Glory.
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
And so then I was like, this is what I've been waiting for. This is what I need to do. I want to get into desert racing. And so spent some years working on building a truck for that, and went out to a few events in Nevada. And somewhere along the way, it occurred to me that if you live in Massachusetts, desert racing probably isn't the long-term strategy.
Right. Oh yeah, I get it.
And so the thing that's like closest to desert racing in terms of how it operates, but is in this part of the country, was rally. And so,
right. Okay.
And so 2010, I went and spectated rally, and then a second rally, then a third rally, then crewed a rally, and by the end of 2010, I'd been to like 6 events.
Oh wow!
And that was it.
Very
next
cool.
year I was in the car.
Yeah. You talk about desert rallying and being in Massachusetts, but sometimes there is a connection. Being so far away, it's strange here in rural Pennsylvania, where I live in central PA. There's a team, the Bleilers. They run a race team, Big B Motorsports, and they race out in King of the Hammers every year, and they
Yeah,
do fairly well. So, but I mean, it amazes me how far they travel and go and compete. So I can imagine, doing
yeah,
that from Massachusetts would be a little difficult to travel that far. So,
yeah. I think actually, I think I briefly crossed paths with them at Hammers last year because I was out there doing a story for Road and Track last year.
oh really? Okay, yeah, yeah. They seem to do pretty well, and I have yet to get up there and talk to them, but I really want to get up because they're only about maybe 45 minutes to an hour from where I live, and maybe 20 minutes from where I work. So I'd like to get up there and chat with them. So with King of the Hammers in that, you came back, you're doing the rallying, and then did you start off as a driver or co-driver? Or have you always been a co-driver? Or
In rally, I've always been a co-driver. I've done one desert race as a driver, but
mm-hmm.
aside from that, everything's been from the right seat.
Oh yeah, and you really enjoy it. It seems like based on some of the videos I've seen of you co-driving
Oh,
and
absolutely. I
what you call the rally car conversations, which I love watching. By the way, I think the last one you posted was pretty funny, and I think that joking around, that levity is probably needed most of the time because it can be pretty stressful. If I'm not mistaken, is that right?
um, it can be. I feel like I'm a really a low stress person,
Mm-hmm.
which you can kind of see in all the videos where things went wrong. Like when we put the car in the lake, and my reaction was, "All right, well." So I that's sort of my mentality. But like you know, when you really have done a lot of events with a certain driver and stuff, you've got that like familiarity where it's so casual and so much fun all the time, and you're
Mm-hmm.
just like you're tossing jokes back and forth across at each other and just enjoying the company. And so that's what the rally car conversations kind of thing's been.
Yeah. It was Ojibwe, right? That you went for a swim.
Yep, that was Ojibwe, 2022, I think.
Yeah, and it was your stance that when you climbed out and got on top of the car. That was impressive because I'm like, pretty good attitude. I think some drivers would have probably lost their minds or co-drivers, but yeah, I thought, well, this guy, he's kind of my guy because his attitude is pretty cool. So yeah, I enjoyed seeing that as well. So
Oh, part of the thing, and the guy I was pointing to was a photographer named Ben Newburn,
okay,
and I've known Ben since I started rallying, and he was at the site of my previous big accident, which was 2019, where we totaled a BMW with a very large tree in Ohio.
oh wow,
And so he when we hit that tree, we went like the car went into a ditch as well, so it was like almost
wow.
outside. It was like probably a 50-degree angle, and he took a photo of me afterwards sitting on the side of the car, which was then at that point sort of the top of the car.
Oh yeah, wow.
And so it was like, well, here's my next incident, and here's Ben again, so let's do another one.
Well, it's good that you don't consider him bad luck and tell him to stay home then, right? Yeah, so that's pretty good. So you've been a co-driver for 15 years, and from my notes, you've done over 80 rallies. Is that correct?
Uh, 79.
79. So was
79.
that snowdrift that you just?
Yep, Stardust was 79th.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. So you gonna celebrate on your 80th or do something special?
Probably not 80. Probably certainly when I hit triple digits, I want to. celebrate that one a bit, but
That'll be
80 is
fun.
not 80 doesn't feel like a milestone for me.
Right. Very cool. Yeah, it's pretty amazing that you've done that many. Um, Out of all the rallies you've done, do you have any that stand out as being your favorite, like a specific rally that you really like get jazzed up about and really excited about going to? And you
Uh,
might do that for all of them. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I, they all have something I love.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to choose one, it's Raleigh, Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Beautiful, beautiful area. Um, and the roads are just on a different caliber,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
They're these technical but flowing but rough, but like it one of my drivers I took there when he went
Mm-hmm.
there for the first time, he was like, we did the first day of recce, and he went, "This is the closest I'm ever gonna get to being on a WRC stage," because that's just how they feel.
That
Like,
much fun. Okay.
well, not fun, but like, I mean, they are fun. Don't get me
But
wrong, but
challenging too, right? Yeah.
it's like they feel like how WRC Mexico roads look, or how WRC Acropolis roads look.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's the feel you get from being on those roads.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in fact, um, the Dirt Rally video game,
Yeah.
if you do Grease in the Dirt Rally video game, it's uncanny how much that feels like Rally Colorado.
So I imagine being a co-driver for this long, you've sat in a lot of different cars too. Um,
Yeah,
any of them stand out to you?
yeah. So for different reasons, but um, let's see. 2014, I co-drove a Porsche 912,
Oh yeah, I love the 912.
and this guy was his name was crap. I'm having a total brain fart here.
That's okay, no worries. So the
Uh,
912 was a lot of fun.
yeah, but hang on, I don't want to get his name right. Jason Leitner.
Oh, okay.
Um, and he was a Porsche restorer out in California. So it was a 912, but it was a worked, shall we say, 912. So we actually had a fuel injected motor in the back. It was making allegedly north of 300 horse.
Wow. Okay. Very cool. Wow.
So for like cool factor, that's probably the coolest car I've been in.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and then there's ones that have been special because of just like what happened with them. So like 2016 came within 6/10 of a second of winning Snowdrift overall nationally,
Oh wow. Okay.
and so that was in a STI hatch with Troy Miller, and so that car stands out for me because coming within a second of winning a national championship event, that's a, a memorable and at times painful moment.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Wow. Now back to the desert racing.
Yep.
What were some of the vehicles that you were in back then?
So
What?
my first desert race, which was as a navigator, was in a stock class Ford Ranger, which is what I was building myself. So
Oh, okay, cool.
that was a good opportunity to like see what the vehicle would be like before mine was done.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 years later is when I drove, and it was in my Ranger. And then it actually went 10 years without a third desert race. And then 2021, Ryan Millen called me up,
Mm-hmm.
and he asked me to navigate for him in a spec trophy truck.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. I I'm pretty amazed. I didn't realize how big like some of those events were, like King of the Hammers. I mean, it's like an entire city that comes up out of the ground out of nowhere, and it's this huge massive event. And I mean,
It,
I heard of King of the Hammers and that, but it just blew my mind at how many people show up and how big some of those events are.
oh, absolutely. And Hammers, is a different breed from other desert events because
Mm-hmm.
it's 2 weeks in this one location, whereas most desert races are a long weekend, similar to rally.
Right, and
But
you're
yeah,
traveling over a huge distance too,
right,
so you're
right,
not staying in one location. Yeah, pretty
yeah.
cool.
But Hammers literally becomes a town. I mean, it's got a population of roughly 60,000 people.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Um, there, there's restaurants, there's streets, there's vendors all over the place. It is a town.
Yeah,
And
that blows my mind. So,
yeah,
with that being said, and all the time that you've been in Raleigh, how much have you seen Raleigh grow from when you first started?
mm,
I mean, I know, being a co-driver and a driver, it might be tough to focus and know how many people are there spectating and that, but I was just curious to know if you've, seen a substantial growth in.
it's honestly sort of been a wave.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when I got into it in like 2010, 2011, it was sort of a bit on the downswing,
Mm-hmm.
and like mid 2010s, and even a little bit into later 2010s was like when I remember the least number of cars on average, and a bit of a dip in fans, and that's in part because Travis wasn't always there and Ken wasn't always there, and they would always bring more people in.
Mm-hmm.
But even when they were there, I feel like it wasn't quite the same energy,
Okay.
and it was starting to come back uh, when ARA took over. There was a bit of a bump when we started seeing like Patrick Sandell and Oliver Solberg coming. I felt like it
Okay.
was starting to get some energy, but I feel like what really jumped it was, strangely enough, COVID.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, because like if you look at the car counts in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
event after event was like hitting the cap for how many cars were allowed. Like the
Okay.
2021 season, especially the first half of the season,
Mm-hmm.
most of those events were drivers were getting waitlisted. And I don't know if that's because they didn't spend the money in 2020, and so they had it, or if they just had like rally blue balls, which I certainly had because I sat 2020 out entirely.
That's a good way of
But
putting it. Yeah,
I feel like that while it was on the upswing already, that sort of like turbocharged it.
that makes sense because after COVID, I mean, I had been a sort of a rally fan growing up in the '80s, and I've talked about this before, and reading the magazines and things. There wasn't a lot on television where I grew up in Massachusetts. We got three channels, and it was
Yep.
you know WGBH most of the time watching this old house. But my cousin would get the magazines, and I would read them. And it wasn't until COVID that I watched a ton of YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
and I started watching rally footage, and I thought, okay, Susquehannock Trail Performance Rally
Yep.
is an hour and a half from my house. I said, we're going. And it just happened that my friend had sold fuel hydrometers to the scrutineer and the tech at ARA for that SDPR rally in 2022. I said, look, dude, I've been wanting to go. Let's go up there, take our sons. And since then, I'm like, I want to learn as much as I can. So that's kind of post COVID. And I thought the numbers were great. And, it was helpful. Ken and Travis were there. And yeah, I kind of agree with you. I've spoken with other people and they're like, wow, not just rally, but other subjects.
Mm-hmm.
They're at home sitting watching YouTube and you're like, oh man, that's something I got to really try. And that interest really hasn't waned since COVID. Seems like with me with rallying and my friends with other hobbies, it just keeps the interest keeps growing. So yeah, I really, I'm going to think about that when I go to bed tonight about how COVID, yeah, kind of changed a lot of things. I
Yeah, and
think.
I mean, you also see, and just people like started getting outdoors once they were allowed outdoors again, and now that you know national park traffic's been up since COVID,
Exactly.
and outdoor activities. I mean, I kayak as well, and kayak prices like skyrocketed because of COVID, and people wanted to get out and do that, and they haven't come down yet.
Just real quick, where do you kayak? I have to ask if you hit the Connecticut River, or where are you in Springfield when
Um,
you go kayaking?
um, Usually, I either go east to Brimfield, and there's a canoe trail out that way, or I
Okay.
do the Willimantic in Connecticut. Um, Not one for kayaking the Connecticut River. I feel like that's like taking a scenic bike ride on the interstate.
Oh, I get it because yeah, I worked on a farm for about 8 years every summer in South Hadley. So yeah, I get it. So yeah,
Nice.
your interest in kayaking grew out of COVID, right? And then
No,
no, or you always
no,
been kayaking?
I've I grew up in the Boy Scouts, so I've been
Oh,
into
there you go.
kayaking since then, and
Oh,
I
very
bought
cool.
my first kayak in 2018. So I've been doing it a couple of years before COVID. But I was just saying, like, I noticed a popularity bump in it in general because of COVID.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, not you specifically, but yeah.
Not me specifically.
Well, it's like this what they call van life. I think has a huge uptick
Yep, absolutely.
COVID
I'd
and
say
things.
I'd say just about anything outdoors really
I
spiked since COVID.
Yeah, and that includes motorsports.
Yep, absolutely.
Upcoming rallies are you going to be co-driving in for this season?
Well, I was hoping to do 100 Acre with Julian in a couple weeks, but unfortunately, our car doesn't yet have a reverse gear, so that's not
Oh,
happening. So
okay.
it's looking like Olympus, Oregon. Um, After that, probably gonna be maybe doing STPR with my other driver, Imogen,
Oh, okay.
and
I hope to see
then
you there then. Yeah.
yeah, hopefully, and then maybe Colorado with Julian, and then the other ones that are on discussion are Ojibwe with Julian and Tennessee with Imogen. So decent schedule. Hoping to pick up some more events with some other drivers, but nothing
Mm-hmm.
on the radar yet.
So that's a lot of travel for you in
Yep.
1 year.
Yeah.
So
I usually do 6 to 9 rallies a year.
okay, and I'm assuming you fly out.
Most of my fly out. If something's within a day's drive, I'll do that, and depending on how I'm feeling, I might even do it if it's 2 days drive. But more
Okay.
than 2 days drive, I fly.
Okay, got it. I don't know if you're like me, but I love flying. I'm kind of an oddball. My late brother was a pilot, so for some reason I love traveling by air. I know it seems kind of crazy, but do you enjoy all the flying or kind of
Not
get the
really.
hang of it?
I'm flying is it feels pretty just like standard routine commute kind of thing for me at this point.
Yeah, okay.
But
Same for me, yeah.
but I love driving. I would drive to every rally if I could, if I had the time. Um,
Gotcha.
and that's in part because I love exploring new places. So
Mm-hmm.
like when I plan out a route to drive to a rally, I'll find like the weirdest, most offbeat shit to just like stop at along the way and explore this or that. I mean,
Oh, okay.
like my driver Julian and I went to the rally in Kentucky, the new one. Like again, my brain is
Oh,
not doing
is it
names right
Boone?
now.
Boone?
Boone, yeah,
Yeah.
and we were gonna get there, half a day early. So I went into random tour guide mode and found what I could find, and we found the actual cocaine bear.
Oh
Because
my
it
word.
because it turns out there was this black bear
Right.
that ate a something $1,000 worth of cocaine that
Yeah,
fell
true
from
story.
the
Yeah.
skydiver, and the real cocaine bear only lived about 13 minutes,
Yeah.
but the taxidermy bear is now in Kentucky,
Oh, that's
and
hilarious.
because of how bonkers Kentucky laws are, he
Yeah.
can marry you. You can get married by cocaine bear.
Oh my word. I should I should ask my wife if she wants to renew our vows with a cocaine bear. Oh, but that being said, I'm sure you've come across a lot of good places to eat and
Oh yeah,
around every rally.
I've got rally maps that have nothing to do with the rally itself. It's just like the locations around it that I suggest people go to.
That's awesome.
Like every rally I've been to, I can name at least a few interesting things in the area.
That's really cool. It would be kind of fun to have some resource like that, whether online or what have you, almost like a travel guide to each rally. And
I've
it's
thought
something,
about it.
yeah. And I've thought about it too because I want to take this podcast on the road eventually, hopefully next year, and get to
Yeah,
as many rallies as I can and interview fans and so on. But I thought,
yeah,
I got to find out where the locals eat. It'd be kind of fun to do a review of where to eat, where to stay, etc.
yeah. I've been listening to the episodes and actually listening to your latest one today. So I heard you talk about the plans with the Renault.
Oh yeah, I know it's kind of crazy, but yeah, I was looking at it today, and I'm actually kind of excited about it. We won't take it on any major highways, I'm sure, but it's a funny little car. It's like a Volkswagen Bug, but 4 doors, and has disc brakes up front.
Hmm.
And because the car is so small and light, it's only about 27 horsepower. I got a micrometer on the discs, and I thought, wow, they must be super worn because they're about
Hmm.
5 or 6 millimeters thick. I'm like, this can't be right. So I got the manual out and I'm looking at it, and according to the manual, they're like brand new,
Wow.
or rotors rather. The
Yep. Yep.
rotors are like 5, 6 millimeters. I'm like, is it really? you know, I'm used to most cars having those really thick, meaty rotors on it, but I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy. So we're gonna do some safety upgrades for sure,
Of
and
course.
and I worked out an agreement with my friend, and I've actually been helping him work on the car before. I helped him weld a whole new floor in it and everything, so I know the car pretty well. So, but yeah, it would be fun to go travel and kind of do a diary, a travel diary, and because I
Well,
not only would I like to talk to drivers and co-drivers and fans about rallying, I kind of want to do that Anthony Bourdain thing and say, hey, where do the locals go and eat?
right, right.
I don't want to be do the
Absolutely.
touristy things. So,
Well, Julian's from Paris, so he'd love to see that car around. I'm no.
oh yeah, should pick his brain about it. Now, a real
He
sore
knows his
sub.
French cars. I'm sure he could tell you a lot.
Oh, I'm sure. And most of the parts I got to source for it actually have to come from France. Although there is a Renault um, mechanic shop in, I think, Ohio somewhere. But I made the mistake of naming the car Brigitte Bardot after the famous French actress, and my wife was not thrilled at all. She's like, no, you don't name a car after an actress like that. I'm like, well, I can't name a car after you. She said, why not? I said, well, sometimes you yell at the car, like if it's not working right, you get mad at it and start yelling at it. And I don't want to. That's one good reason not to name a car after your wife or girlfriend or significant
That's a
other.
fair point.
So, have you ever made the trip up to the? They changed the name of it. I think it's the
New England Forest
Errol.
Rally.
Yeah,
It's
have you
yeah
been up to that one?
the Errol Northwoods now, but
Northwoods.
yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
So that's one of the events I went to that first year where I was just like spectating and learning
Mm-hmm.
things along with STPR. And since then, I've competed in New England Forest Rally and actually also STPR 10 times. So
Oh
those
wow.
are two events.
Okay.
Those are the two events I've done the most.
I have a little bit of experience with the Northwoods as that's the area where I spent my honeymoon. And
Okay.
we happened to be there during one of the races, just kind of towards the end of one of the stages, I think. But so you've done STPR 10 times?
I have.
Very cool. So what do you think of the waste management jump there?
I actually really enjoy the waste management jump. I remember waste management before the jump was built,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and it's funny because like the entire route around that area was slightly different, and I remember that being like the dreariest part of the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And then they built the jump, and the first year of the jump, everyone was kind of terrified of it because
Yeah.
when you're coming up to it, it looks massive.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you viewed from the side, it doesn't look nearly as big as it does when you see it straight on. And so everyone was like, "This may be too big. Cars are going to nosedive. There's this hole on the far side, and we're going to bottom out in that."
Mm-hmm.
And a few
Yeah.
people were dissented, and it worked out great.
Yeah, and they kind of change it up every once in a while, right? The direction you come to that jump. But
Yeah,
regardless of the direction, you still have some cars that kind of porpoise. I call it porpoising over it, and they come down pretty hard on their front end.
yeah, that's usually more prone to vehicles with hatchback rear ends. It,
Okay, is it a balance thing then?
it's an aero thing.
Oh, okay.
And this is actually a large reason why Julian and I run open class with the two-wheel drive, even though sometimes it's basically just been an ST with a wing.
Uh huh.
We don't want to run without the wing because of the way it nosedives over jumps without the wing. But yeah, most hatchback vehicles don't have enough rear aero to like do a balanced flight over a big jump.
All right, so it's arrow. See, I was yeah. This is what I little I know. I thought, man, it must be the position of the center of gravity and the weight and all this other stuff. I was just guessing, but yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, and even like when you have the Impreza sedans,
Mm-hmm.
it's not as dramatic, but you'll see a difference in a sedan with a wing and sedan without.
Oh, okay. I'll have to go back and see some of my videos because now that I think about it, yeah. 'Cause I know Travis Pastrana pretty much took it perfectly,
Yep.
but I'll have to look at the others and see how they took it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we in 15, I was with driver named Fabio, and
Mm-hmm.
we were in a an Impreza Outback Sports, the wagon,
Yeah.
and we DNF'd on that jump because
Oh.
it did the nosedive thing,
Mm-hmm.
and we crushed the oil filter through the skid plate.
Holy crap. Okay. Wow. Wow, that's pretty
That
amazing. I
and actually, if you don't mind, there's a a bit of a story on that one that is just like fortuitous event, dramatically unfortuitous event. So
yeah, really.
so obviously no oil, we blew the motor. Um,
Okay, yeah, right.
and this was a first day, so we were trying to figure out a solution to restart the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And this is back when the day ended at the fairgrounds with a super special there.
Oh yeah, okay, right. Yeah, I
And
haven't been there for that, but I remember. Yeah.
we were at the service park there, and we happened to notice like across the fields there was this big garage building surrounded by junked Subarus. And we were like, well, let's see what that's all about. So we go over
You're in
there.
luck, yeah.
But yeah, we go over there and knock on the door. There's this guy who, you know, parts out Subarus. Has nothing to do with the rally. He's never even been to the rally.
Wow.
But he's got all these Subarus around, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll sell you a motor out of one of the cars, and I'll even let you use the shop for the night." So, you know, our crew goes in there with the rally car. They take the engine out of our car, take the engine out of one of the junkers, and so he was a naturally aspirated class, but he had like WRX heads on the motor, which meant he also had WRX harness. So you couldn't just straight motor swap a naturally aspirated motor in it. You had to actually swap his heads onto the other motor.
Oh, okay.
So it ended up being this like massive all night long process, which I'm a co-driver, so I didn't stay up for that. I couldn't help.
Right.
But they get it done. They get the motor in. They start it up. It's sounding great. They put it in gear, and the clutch fork snaps because someone left a socket on one of the bolts.
Probably a 10 millimeter, right?
Probably a 10 millimeter, but we weren't able to restart because of that.
Oh, wow.
So they did this all-nighter, like hero job, and then we DNF'd in the morning because of a broken clutch fork.
And it's probably because it's all-nighter and you're sleep deprived. You know, I kind of get it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't blame them for it all. It's insane that that's how it went down.
Wow. Yeah, it is, definitely. So with STPR, I'm really excited about getting back this year. I couldn't make it last year because of work, but I went in 2022 and 2023, and we're definitely going back this year in July. So that should be a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll see you there.
So. Yeah, I'm definitely hoping to be there with Imogen. I mean, it'll depend on scheduling and stuff, but that's definitely the goal.
So, with your rally car conversations, and the one I watched just this evening, you guys are singing in there some gorillas.
Yes.
And this is, you always see some athletes that listen to music and get kind of pumped up before an event. And I always thought that may not happen with rally because you're really concentrating on, your notes and everything else. But you're really big into music, and does music help you with the co-driving? It's kind of an odd question, but
sometimes. I mean, certainly I'll have music on when I'm prepping the notes after recce. When I'm in the hotel room.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of music then. I'd say for some of my drivers, it's more of a thing for them than it is for me.
Okay.
But I certainly enjoy music and listen to it when I can. When I got some downtime. It's nice to have some background noise when I'm getting work done.
Right, definitely. So yeah, I was always curious about that and kind of the psychology behind it. But I thought, man, there's so much concentration behind it, especially being the co-driver.
I would say
it'd be a little difficult.
I would say I have to make sure I don't put on music that I'm gonna like try and sing along to.
Good point. Yeah.
When I'm working on the notes, because that is a distraction, but like just that kind of chill music that you can just have as noise so it's not silence. That's why you usually put on when I'm doing notes and stuff. So that'll be like Nightmares on Wax or Kavinsky or
okay.
Some more mellow, more instrumental.
So getting towards the end here, and I going through your Instagram account, and I noticed one, and it's something I've always wanted to do, is the Lemons Rally. I'm looking at the photo. Is that something you've done? Is the 24 Hours of Lemons Rally?
Yeah. Actually done 4 of those, including the first one they put on. and did one of them in a rally car that we borrowed, like a stage rally car that we borrowed from Charlie Tamaris out of Wellsboro. Yeah,
And
we
yeah, that looks like a lot of fun. I'm trying to get my son to do something like that with me, or if it's a TSD rally, or maybe the 24 Hours of Lemons would be, or the 24 Hours of Lemons rally might be a little less stressful than actually doing a TSD. But
well, what I like about the Lemons rallies is they're
Mhm.
actually ridiculously low stress.
That would be perfect to start off with, I think, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, because it's not a timing thing. It's like the start of the rally, you get this list of half dozen to a dozen landmarks,
Mm-hmm.
and so each day you try to hit as many of those as you can. And if you don't make them, it's not a huge deal because the points are sort of like whose line is it anyway. So it's more about seeing weird stuff, doing silly things, and having fun along the way in the worst cars that you can find to bring along.
Well, one reason I want my son to go with me and do one is he will have it next week. Is he's buying from a friend of ours a Crown Vic former police
Okay.
car, and it's black and white. It's got the white doors and black front and black back, and it's got the divider. It even has the hooks for the shackles in the back
Mm-hmm.
and the big ram in the front. And I said, dude, maybe we should do the 24 hours of do a lemons rally with that. I mean, it's not really a $500 car or anything like the
Well,
races, but I think it might be kind of fun and
so,
to
so the
go in that.
the $500 thing
Yeah,
doesn't apply to the rally.
right. It's only to the races, but yeah,
Right.
that's why I think that it was a former police car, and it's got the special, real thick sidewall tires and everything on it.
Yep.
It's a whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Um,
One of the years that we did the Lemons Rally that goes from Pennsylvania to Alabama,
oh,
there was a
the Escape from Moscow, I think it's called,
that's
right?
that's the one.
Yeah,
So we did that one twice, and one of the years there was someone who had a Crown Vic ex cop car,
perfect.
and to put it over the top, they put a working donut maker in the back.
How can you top that though? Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
And of course, they had the cop uniform, so it was this cops and donuts theme.
Oh, that is absolutely hilarious. All right. I'm going to get off when we finish the podcast. I'm going to say, hey, look, we got to do this. But it's funny because it has the divider,
Mm-hmm.
and my
Yep.
son can't stand backseat drivers. So he's like, anybody that rides with him has to sit in the back. And I told my friend today, I said, I can't wait till we get this car because what I'm going to do is the first time my son makes me sit in the back and he opens the door for me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start running. I'm
There
going
you
to
go.
jump out the back and start running. Steve, I really appreciate you being on the podcast after a long week. I know it's Friday evening. I really appreciate it. And
Absolutely, I enjoyed this.
yeah, and have a good weekend. So happy you came on, and I know we kind of connected early on, but I've had a lot going on. We
No, no,
moved, had the
no
flu
problem. I get it.
twice, etc. So I really appreciate your patience, and I'm so glad you came on. And
Yeah, like I said, this is a good time. I'm always happy to talk about rally things.
awesome. And then we'll definitely have you back on and see how your season went and touch base again. So, and hopefully we will see you at SDPR in July.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right. Take care, Steve. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
If you'd like to be on the podcast, you can email me, jim@jimboothdesigns.com, or message me through Facebook at Rallying in America, the Recce Podcast, or Instagram, rallying_in_America. Special thanks to our sponsor for this episode, Brady Instruments, pro-grade, handmade, professional fuel hydrometers. Visit BradyInstruments.com for all of your fuel testing needs. And remember, don't be a fool. Check your fuel. Thanks to Toontank and the artist Nuclear Wave and their song In Drive for the podcast theme music.